AITA, for having another man fix the things in my house after my husband refused. I, 26F, have been married to my husband, 28M, for 4 years. When we first got together, he was everything I thought I wanted in a partner. Smart, funny, hardworking, and incredibly handy around the house. Seriously, he could fix almost anything, and I love that about him. I grew up in a household where my dad wasn't exactly Mr. Fix-It, so having someone who could take care of that side of things felt like a dream. But as time has gone on, something has shifted. I'm not sure if it's the stress of work, life, or just falling into bad habits, but my husband has started letting things slide. It's like he's always too busy to help around the house or tackle projects. And let me be clear, I do a lot. I manage the cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, scheduling, you name it. I'm not saying he doesn't do anything, but when it comes to maintaining our home, the division of labor is very lopsided. Now for the actual issue. Over the past year, yes, an entire year, I've been asking my husband to do a few specific things in our apartment. First, we needed to replace our ancient refrigerator. It was loud, inefficient, and barely keeping our food cold. My sister generously gifted me a beautiful Smeg refrigerator for my birthday last year, but it's been sitting in the corner, still in its packaging, because my husband never got around to swapping it out. Second, I've been wanting to set up a small dance area in our apartment. Dancing is my passion and my primary form of exercise. It's not just about staying fit, it's my therapy, my joy, my escape. I asked my husband to install a ballet bar, a pole, and a mirror so I could practice at home. He said he'd do it, but every time I brought it up, there was another excuse. I'll get to it next weekend, or I don't have the right tools right now. Or do we really need to drill holes in the walls for this? At first, I was patient. I get it, life gets busy. But as the weeks turned into months, my patience wore thin. It felt like he didn't take my needs seriously or care about how much this meant to me. I even tried to compromise by offering to help or hiring someone to do it. But he shot those ideas down too. Why waste money when I can do it myself, he'd say. But he wasn't doing it. Finally, a few weeks ago, I hit my breaking point. I decided to take matters into my own hands. Our apartment complex has a maintenance team, so I figured I'd start there. I knew they technically only handle repairs, but I thought maybe they could help with the fridge. I approached one of the maintenance workers, let's call him Mike, and explained the situation. I told him about the Smeg fridge and asked if there was any way he could install it for me. He smiled and said, "That's not really in my job description, but I'll see what I can do." Honestly, I nearly cried from relief. Mike came over the next day while my husband was at work. He not only swapped out the old fridge, but also organized everything inside the new one. I was so grateful I could have hugged him, but I settled for a heartfelt thank you instead. Before he left, he handed me his number and said, "If you ever need anything else, just let me know. No need to go through the online ticket system." At the time, I thought he was just being nice. I didn't think anything of it. A week later, I decided to text Mike again. I asked if he could help with the ballet bar, pole, and mirror. I told him the truth. I'd been waiting for my husband to do it for a year, but it just wasn't happening. Mike replied almost instantly, "Sure thing. I'll be there in 5 minutes." True to his word, Mike showed up with his toolbox and got to work. He was efficient and meticulous, making sure everything was secure and level. He even cleaned up the dust and debris afterward. I tried to tip him, but he refused. "No need for that," he said with a smile. "I'm happy to help." I felt such a wave of relief and gratitude. Finally, I had the space I'd been dreaming of, and I didn't have to beg or nag anyone for it. But then my husband came home. The first thing he noticed was the fridge. "When did this happen?" he asked, his tone sharp. I explained that Mike from maintenance had replaced it for me. My husband frowned, but didn't say much, until he walked into the living room and saw the ballet bar, pole, and mirror. He absolutely lost it. "Who the hell did this?" he demanded. When I told him it was Mike, his face turned red with anger. "You had another man in our house? While I wasn't here? Are you serious?" I tried to explain that I'd been waiting for him to do these things for a year and that I didn't see the harm in asking someone else for help. But he wasn't having it. He accused me of disrespecting him and undermining his role as the man of the house. Then, out of nowhere, he said, "You just wanted attention, didn't you? You're trying to get this guy to notice you." I was stunned. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told him that was ridiculous and that Mike was just doing his job. But my husband wouldn't let it go. He kept accusing me of being inappropriate, saying it wasn't okay to have another man in the house while he wasn't there. He even implied that Mike had ulterior motives, which made me feel gross and uncomfortable because I hadn't seen anything from Mike to suggest that. The argument spiraled from there. My husband said I'd emasculated him by going behind his back and that I didn't respect him as a husband. I shot back that if he had just done the things I'd asked, none of this would have even been necessary. That didn't help. If anything, it made him angrier. Now he's barely speaking to me. He insists I was out of line and says I owe him an apology. On the other hand, I feel like I was pushed into a corner. I waited an entire year, tried to be patient, and only took action when I felt like I had no other choice. From my perspective, I don't see how getting help from maintenance makes me a bad wife. But maybe I'm missing something? So Reddit, AITA,